I don't know if you know this, but about a week ago on the Rico Bronya podcast, we did a rewatch where I said, let's all rewatch Game 7 of the 06 NLCS, and we'll do a podcast, and we'll break down the game. And a lot of people did it. A lot of Met fans did it. Some Met fans wrote me and said, you know what? I listened to the podcast. I will not rewatch that game. That is one of the worst losses of my life. I can't do it. Would you rewatch the 2000 Super Bowl?
I've never watched it.
You've never watched it?
Never watched it.
Would you want, like, if I put that on, would it cause, like
no, I'd be curious just because of how my brain thinks now as an analyst. I'd be curious to break it down.
So you'd be able to watch it?
Oh, of course.
Which game?
I mean, I was over it right after the game was over.
Really?
Yeah.
It's very healthy of
because,
you.
Well, was it?
Sean isn't, by the way.
First of all, what could I have done? And second, it wasn't a game.
Right. They kicked your ass.
They kicked our ass.
It would have been if the refs did their job.
Well,
by the way, I've rewatched it 4 times.
Right. I mean, the reality is, at halftime, it wasn't that bad of a deficit. And then we came out and returned the kickoff for a touchdown. But then they returned it right back.
Of all the games, and I'm going to assume with you, see, with me, Sean Lugie, it's a little different because obviously we're fans. We didn't play any of these games. I assume the game you wouldn't want to rewatch are games you played in. So I'm not taking away like a freaking Yankee game from the last 5 years. Would you rather rewatch the Niner playoff game or the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl.
That would be easier.
Right.
So the
Niner playoff game is painful.
That you would not want to rewatch that.
No.
You want to do it as like a thing? Got a whole open month. We should rewatch that game. We should do it live on the air. No, you don't like that idea?
No, definitely not.
So that's your number one. That's your most unwatchable rewatch in Tiki Barber's career.
Right.
That's a fair answer.
It's funny. I don't remember a ton of the games I played in. Like, I'm not like pitchers. I know you were talking to Adam Wainwright. He could tell you every pitch that he threw in every situation.
He's psychotic.
Out of how many years he played.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can give you maybe 4 games.
Well, that's why Sean beats you in What Does Tiki Know About Tiki? He actually wins the game when you guys go head-to-head.
Adam Wainwright also didn't have any head trauma, repeated head trauma.
That is very, very true.
2 points to Tiki.
What game would you rewatch?
It's always going to come back to the Deshaun Jackson game.
That's number one.
That is the only, I would argue, the only Giant game in my life that I haven't seen more than once.
Well, what about Game 7 against the Red Sox 04? What about like one of the Cup final games against the Kings as a Ranger fan?
Now, first of all, I rewatch football way more during the offseason because I get tired of it. That being said, no, I have no issue going back and rewatching some of those, and I've definitely rewatched Game 7 before.
Game 701 as well?
Yeah, I've seen that before, too.
Jeez.
Yeah. Which one will you not rewatch?
Me?
Yeah.
God, I tell you.
Choose wisely here.
I'm just asking.
I think right now in this moment, the 15 World Series is still too fresh. Bothers me still too much. Like, I think when enough time goes by, like as much as 06 bothers me, I almost felt like I can do it now. And granted, that's 17 years.
Yeah.
That's not 50 years. It's 17 years. I think when it's more recent, it's still like more fresh.
Yeah.
So I would jump out of it. First of all, there's nothing with the Jets because everything's further back. Now, I haven't rewatched Jets Steelers, but that playoff game would probably be number one if I'm picking any Jet game that I would, like my most painful loss. But I think enough time's gone by, and I've never seen it on TV because I was there, where I think I'd be okay with that. So I think I'm okay with the Jets. And I think with the Mets, 99, even 2000, the World Series with the Yankees, I have seen it again. I think I'm okay with that. I think it's 2015 World Series. I think Game 1 would just, more than even Game 5, I think Game 1 would cause like an aneurysm in my head. Like I would be so pissed off watching the quick pitch, watching everything. I think that would be number one.
Loogie?
There's only one sporting event that made me want to stop watching sports. Game 1, Yankees-Mets World Series. That killed me. I will never go watch that ever again.
Even though it's been 23 years. There will never be enough
never
time.
get over it. Never enough time. Because had they won that series, we would have had it forever.
It's not, but you know what? It's not getting over it because I don't think that's the right phrase. I'm not over it either.
Right.
I think it's more you can watch
stomach it and not get pissed off.
I get mad.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm watching it and having a good time. I can watch it only because now it feels more historical than the things that are like 2015 is so fresh. It's only 9 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that time changes. By the way, another one, but I don't want to bore people with it, is obviously Game 7 Nets Bucks. Like that's like I'd burn that tape. Burn that tape. And speaking of recent, that's really fresh.
3 years ago.
Yeah. So, but I think there's a time period where I'm willing to go back and rewatch it, even if it causes pain. And I think 2015 World Series, all of it, would be too much.
I could go back and watch my Super Bowl. The 49ers game, that would be hard.
That's number one.
That's number one for me.
Yeah.
Only because it was out of our control at the end when it mattered.
It was
I mean,
out,
it was
wasn't
in
out
our
of your control. You guys blew a big lead.
No, but when we had a chance, when we finally actually started playing some offense again, we had a chance and we got kind of screwed.
I get you. Toll-free number 877-337-6666.